Get me started with some good news, Belinda. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mark. Okay, so it is uplifting, literally, what we're going to talk about. Aerial rhino rescue, people. So helicopters have been used for incredibly destructive things, and they were used, or have been used by rhino poachers, but they are now being used as in this incredible aerial rescue of endangered black rhinos. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a rhino being hoisted upside down by a helicopter. It has been tranquilized. It's got some opioids on board, so it's not completely cognizant of the crazy thing that's happening to it. But so this has been being developed over the last few decades, and it's really amazing because rhinos, the black rhinos in particular, they were down to less than 2,500 rhinos, and we're now at 6,500 more or less, which is really so fantastic. So what used to happen to a rhino was they would chase it on the ground, they would shoot it with tranquilizers, it would fall over. It would take 20 minutes to come to. They would have to get an enormous, they're 1.5 tons. They're absolutely huge, these herbivores. They would have to get it into a crate, and then they would drive it across bumpy, terrible roads. It could have difficulty breathing in the crate. It could get horn and muscle damage. And these very innovative conservation scientists were like, there's got to be a better way, and there's got to be a faster way to do this. And so helicopters. Now, the amazing thing about what they're doing is it's super fast. So the Huey is a Vietnam helicopter. Some of the helicopters that are being used in Africa, by the way, are still bullet ridden. They're from Vietnam. They've got the attachments where the guns used to be. So they've been used for these incredibly destructive purposes, and now they're being used for these incredible rescues. I mean, look at this.
Wow.
So what's really amazing, and it looks crazy, but they put these very soft bands around each ankle of the rhino. What they worked out was when they put a rhino on a wooden platform and lifted it up into the air, it would spin. And then they tried nets, and the nets also span, and they had metal in them, so they were super heavy. Now you've already got a 1.5 ton animal that you're lifting up. So they worked out if they do it this way, it's much kinder. Yeah, this was not good. This was not good. And you can see the rhino's in a weird position.
Yeah, we're showing it's for those just listening, it's a rhino in a net. This is
a rhino in a net.
We're showing the former ways in which they tried to.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, for people who are just listening. Yeah, so they're being hoisted up by the helicopter. So when you do it just with the bands around the animal's ankles, and then on obviously a very thick solid strap. The rhino's head, as you can see, and neck sort of bend backwards, and that means its spine straightens. Anatomically, this is the kindest way to move a rhino. This is the easiest way for them to breathe. And then their glorious, the horns, which are what they're being poached for. Those act like a tail feather, like a little weather vane, and they actually stop the rhino from spinning. So aerodynamically, this is the winning way to move your black rhino, ladies and gentlemen. I know it sort of seems completely antithetical. And one of the things I love, I think it's really funny. So this innovation won an IG Nobel Prize, and the IG Nobel Prizes are they're a satirized Nobel Prize. They're an innovation that makes you laugh and then sort of go, oh wow, this is amazing. Now the thing that's incredible is you've got these rescuers on the ground, you've got vets, you've got this whole crew working for this to happen. It's about a 10 or a 30-minute ride to the next location, and it's super humane and it's super quick. Like the Huey has windows. This makes it perfect for conservation and also firefighting. The Huey helicopter has windows that are underneath the pilot, so they can easily see whether. Oh man, just look at this, everyone. We're watching a helicopter, the rhino just being gently taken, landed back on Earth.
Yeah, placed on the ground after that trip. And it's a heavy creature, and it's being hoisted by its ankles. I hope that,
Yeah.
it seems like so much weight on those ankles, but I guess the creature can take it, huh? I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty much
well,
the
this
only
is
other
this
option.
is the thing that they've worked out, is this is the most humane way to do it. A crate on the back of a bouncy truck, not good. This way they
Mm.
can breathe, their horns and their muscles don't get damaged. And then also, the amazing thing is, once you have tranquilized the rhino, you can get a satellite tracking device. They put it in their horns. So the thing, it's sort of all of these ironies, the thing they get poached for now is the part of their bodies where the satellite tracking device goes in. So they can monitor them. They can move them out of what's so hard for rhinos now is they're in these very small little pockets of private or public reserves, and they're protected there. But if the populations grow too much, you get inbreeding, and then the females will actually reduce the amount of calves they produce, because they look about and they can see, oh, the resources here, there aren't enough for my babies. So they slow down in their calving rate. So by moving them around, you can take aggressive young rhinos, you can get them to areas, where they're needed. You can stop the inbreeding. You can put, tracking devices in them. They say translocation is the biggest tool in conservation of rhinos. So, visually it's a treat, and it's the kindest way to do it to the animals. And
Fascinating,
it's,
fascinating. They're
yeah,
so
yeah,
endangered there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's it's such a it's such a world filled with sad news on the rhinos. You're right. This is great. That this good news, this location and relocation program is successful. That's just terrific. I love that you have that news. What else do you have?
Yeah. Okay. So now bringing it back to the US, because the US is in need of some good news. I
You
mean, we had
think?
we had some we had some amazing news yesterday, but so in Colorado, they have become the leaders in what we call animal bridges and tunnels. They're wildlife crossings. So we either put them over a freeway or a busy road, or under the freeway. Colorado, since 2015, has put in 28 of these wildlife crossings, and they are unbelievable, because what happens is when the scientists put them in, they then worry, oh, will the animals find them? Will they know that they're there? Well, the animals find them right away. There was one that they put in southwestern Colorado, and when the researcher went, after a couple of, the first couple of weeks, like, is it working? There were already elk prints. They were already, yeah, we found it. Thank you very much. We found it, and we're using it. We're getting safely across the freeway. And they have to do ones that go below, ones that go above, because different animals like different things. Like big animals, like your elk and your moose, they don't want to go in a tunnel. It doesn't feel good to them. They prefer being in the open, so they like to go, cross above. But
Oh,
everyone's
that's
using it.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So
Huh.
it's very species specific. But you've got black bears, coyotes, you've got your elk, you've got deer, moose, mountain lions, even otters. There's a video that I sent that maybe you could show, Albert, which shows all the different animals that Colorado is having success with. And how they work this out is they look at a really busy part of a freeway, like where are there 3 deer collisions per 1 mile of freeway in a year? Or with elk, which are bigger and cause more damage, where is there 1 elk car collision per mile per year? And that's where they target to put the tunnels or the bridges in. And it's just it's really, we're the ones who are causing all this habitat fragmentation, and we're the ones who are encroaching on where they lived. And it's the same for the rhino. And so we're now having to, it's our responsibility to come up with these solutions to help these animals out, because it's so, awful what's being done. And the carnage that people were seeing in Colorado, when you see roadkill on the side of the road, when it's a great big animal, super scary. Yeah, here are the coyotes. Coyotes, use them daily. They're just like, yeah, this is how I get around now. And then for animals, I do it every day. It's my commute. And then for animals like the elk, so in the summer they're in higher land, in higher elevations, and in the winter they go down lower where it's warmer. So it's just cool. And And this, I do have to, the thing is, these wildlife crossings, they should be completely, not a political issue. See, they know, they see where they are. And it's not just, you can see here, this actually shows it really well. It's not just that you have the bridge, you have to have fencing on the other side of the bridge to get the animal, back into habitat where they'll be safe. And this is a non-partisan thing, obviously, because these are amazing and everyone loves big animals. But unfortunately, we have an administration that is threatening funding to all these different federal and state agencies. So the Department of Transport, the Department of Wildlife in Colorado, which is part of the funding mechanism here. Are they going to have enough money to keep going with the projects? So that is an issue, and I want everyone to think about that when they're voting. And I'm going to say that as often as I can, because this is important. This is really important. And here in California, the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing, it's called, it's at Liberty Canyon on the 101. So some people call it the Liberty Bridge, but Wallace-Annenberg, thank you, took over the funding of it. And it's going to be ready in 2026. It is going to be the biggest wildlife crossing. It has to cross the 101. So that's 8 lanes of traffic. It's going to be absolutely enormous. They're planting natives on either side. So the animals, the noise from the freeway and the visuals of it, that those will be as obfuscated as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing that Belinda's talking about, because they are creating a kind of corridor that's not just a concrete overpass. It's almost a habitat, so that it will, as you say, screen out the stuff around it. I only know this because I, read about it in the local paper type thing. Yeah. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful, and it's huge. Yeah, so there's a artistic rendition, rendering of it, and this is
that's the best of humanity right there. The taking a problem, and you're right. It is good news that in us, in this destructive, greedy species that we are, that as we've just destroyed this planet in the ways that we have and eliminated so many species, that we at least find the humanity to create these spaces to try to give these creatures a chance, as you say, as their habitats are so fragmented. It's really it's inspiring, I think, in a way.
Yeah, I think it is inspiring. And one of the things is, we relate to big fauna because, sort of we're a big, well, we're the biggest in terms of, our impact. But we're good to big fauna, and we need to think about this when we're dealing with lesser fauna or unseen fauna. That
will the predators learn that those are choke points for their prey? How about that, Belinda?
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's always going to be prey, but that's the animal kingdom, and so I mean, deer and elk are I mean, you've got your mountain lions and your bobcats, they're using it too, but it's not like these wildlife crossings become areas of carnage. I mean, they're all out there living together, and there are places where they have to cross and their paths converge. I mean, they're smart, and that's unfortunately, part of it all. And I've never, ever read anywhere of that being oh my goodness, we created this wildlife crossing and suddenly,
idea, but it just might work.
right.
Yeah. But thank you for raising that. But yeah, it's it is the best of us, and it's. Yeah, I wanted to share something that was uplifting and good.
I love it. I really do. I love it. Thanks for the good news. Belinda says Valley Star. People grateful for some good news today.
Yeah.
From Belinda.
Well, here's the thing. I keep saying this to you guys, and it's really true that, we're in this, kind of crazy moment, and people I know are very uncertain about what is going to happen as far as, our switch to renewables and all the, the good things that were happening under the last administration. Just know, people, this is still happening. It is still happening. It's, there are efforts being made to really stop it. And obviously, the Trump administration is putting a spanner in the works. But this is not stopping, because this is, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Money-wise, to be using renewable energy. So many projects are happening, in spite of. And then we are doing these amazing things with rhinos and our elk and moose and otters and all the animals here. So,
I think you frame it perfectly, which is just because, the headlines are not there, there's still good stuff going on, and it's good to spend a moment recognizing that. You can find Belinda across social media. Belinda Weymouth is Waymouth. She's an eco-journalist. She has a lot of good content. Follow her across all the various social media outlets and find her here on Wednesdays. Belinda, thank you for some good news, uplifting. There is a bounce in my step as a result of this today. Thank you.
You are welcome, Mark, and more next week. Okay?
Belinda Weymouth, everybody. Thanks, Belinda.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.